too.
Welcome back to the Iowa Chill Shows, November 11th. Sports suck. I hate them. Never liked them. I don't care about them moving forward. My life's going to be good. I don't care what you say. I'm your host, Nathan Creeps, joined by my co-host, Mr. Bryce Sportscheller. Bryce, we're alive. That's about as much as we can ask for at this very given moment.
Yeah, thanks for that electric intro. But that's pretty much how we're all feeling in the state of Iowa this week, isn't it?
I'm not one good thing happened for the entire state.
Not one. Did we? What about you and I and Drake? Did we get any wins from them?
You and I is on their 8-game losing streak.
Okay.
Things are not good. We'll hop on that here soon because we got to talk about Coach Farley here. Basketball looks great. Quick shot to basketball.
Okay.
Yeah. Drake basketball looks good. Iowa State obviously looks good. Girls look good on both sides. So far undefeated. Besides you and I, men lost last night. But we got more sports coming up later in the episode. Bryce, did you have anything fun go on this weekend?
Yeah, I had a buddy visit from the Lake of the Ozarks. I think you know him as the Big Lurch, Jason Mingbupa, resident window cleaner and HVAC machine down in the Ozark area. And we'll get to more lake action too later in the episode. But other than that, we did some more golf simulator and tried to avoid college football. Even thinking about it makes me kind of pissed off.
So Big Daddy Lurch came up this weekend. Our good friend Lurch, one of the best window cleaners you'll ever meet in your entire life, and not just a good window cleaner, but a fantastic chef. So when Lurch comes to town, did he chef you anything up?
He didn't. He went to a baby shower and brought back some egg rolls and some Laotian dish. But yeah, he always comes bringing the goods.
Is he still doing chef for some families down there in the Ozarks?
Every once in a while, they'll commission his services. He got to do like a week-long chef where he built a menu and cooked for this wealthy family that was on a girls' trip down in Arizona. So I don't know if he's still doing that, but I know that he's done it a couple times. So he's a jack of all trades for sure.
What's your favorite meal he's ever made you?
He makes a great yellow curry. That's still my top.
Mine has to be the Boss. Is it the Basta Bowl?
Oh, yeah. The vodka penne.
Oh, man. Mm-hmm. Oh, I've tried to get the vodka sauce. I just started getting that here in just last year, trying to mix it a little bit into my pasta meals. It's at a different flavor for sure to some of my pastas, but it's just, when it's professionally done right, there's just a whole nother level to it, right?
So many more dimensions, yeah.
We went down to Orlando for what bowl was it? Was it a tax layer bowl? I can't remember what the freaking bowl was. Is that what it is?
They haven't really mattered the last few years,
okay.
So I don't.
Anyway, so I went to that bowl game last year against Tennessee, and this restaurant right next to our hotel had arguably the best pasta I've ever had in my life. We ate there 4 times in 4 days.
Really?
Wow. Madison was so pissed. There's hundreds and hundreds of restaurants in this within 2 square miles there and near the hotel, and I refused to go to any of them but the one that we went to for the first night because I loved this little vodka sauce recipe that they had on this pasta. It was so good. Sounds like I always get these addictions. So when I find something I really love, I eat it straight for like 2-3 months, as much as I possibly can. And then one day I'm like, nope, I'm done with this meal. And currently that's
one of my favorite things about you. Like you go on these little runs and it's just generational, and it's just like, yeah, I'm pretty much sick of it.
Because right now I'm on the street taco grind.
The street tacos.
And that's been going on for months. And I'm looking forward to that, potentially getting that today. God, my weekend consisted of, you know what? It was okay. Got the game out, done with Friday. Hated my life, and I woke up the next day, and life was good. I kind of like when your team sucks a little bit, because then you're forced to move on from it, and then you get to enjoy how good life is when sports doesn't impact it as much as you force it to do throughout the season. So we did a little bit of Christmas shopping. When's the appropriate?
Oh no, that you got sucked into the early Christmas.
We had to go to Hobby Lobby, get some decorations. I got some cool decorations. I should have brought them up. I have to bring up. I would call it Frankie's. Little Frank. Remember Frank from Halloween?
I do.
I think I got his brother. You'll like to see him.
Okay.
You'll like to see what he does.
Is he one of Santa's elves?
We'll keep it a little secret for now, but you'll be tuning in for quite the episode for next week for his appearance. But yeah, I got the Hobby Lobby, just got a bunch of decorations. The Christmas tree got put up. Colby and I put up the Christmas lights on the house last night. Super windy. It was terrible, but we made it work. They look look great, by the way. Got the lights from Menards. Have you done any Christmas shopping yet?
I haven't, and we have just now started talking about decorating the villa. So I would think next week when I'm in Nashville next weekend, Darian gets started. She said that she will not put up the tree unless we do it together, and that's why she's the LOML, love of my life, because she wants to do that tradition together. So I don't know if we'll do a ton of Christmas stuff until right around Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay, so I was trying to find out when is the appropriate time to start Christmas shopping. Uh, to you, is it stressful?
I think we talked last week about the hybrid of going in person and online shopping. I'm a pretty decent online shopper. Lately, the last couple of years, I've made the grave mistake of going to Jordan Creek Mall during the end of November until right before Christmas Day, and then it's awful. So then, yes, it's very stressful.
Yeah, the hardest part is definitely starting. I think once again I get into the role of it, especially with online shopping. Once you start going, things start clicking. But the problem in my life when it comes to Christmas shopping, this year's a lot different, thank the Lord. But in previous like 5 to 8 years, we do a gift for every single person in the family. Like I got to get a gift for my nephews. I got to get a gift for my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, Madison's family, not her entire family. We draw half for them, but so for the first time this year, we just get one name for your person in your family instead of getting like eight
nice.
different freaking people gifts. And I can't believe we've been doing it that long for the last couple of years.
Yeah, it gets crazy, and your family's huge, and Nicole is making sure that keeps on going, and that's good. We need more creeps and more taffs. The thing for me is that everyone's having they get older, and you have significant others, so yes, the Christmas shopping list has gotten longer. I think that the best idea you could possibly do is you pick a hat, like everyone gets one person to shop for.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little ridiculous, so I'm glad we're finally doing that hat this year. I already got a few gifts on the way. Outside of Christmas shopping, have you got into any Christmas movies yet? Are you trying to hold off as long as possible? Because we had the same problem with Halloween.
I know. We started talking about Halloween on this pod, I feel like middle of September. And yeah, I got Halloween burnt out. And I think that's why we mentioned that October was probably the longest October in history. We are going to hold off on Christmas movies for just a minute. Especially, my thing is like once it starts to feel like fall, then I'm all in for like Halloween. When it starts to feel like Christmas, I'm all in for like watching Elf and all that stuff. But it's a little too nice still to do Christmas stuff. Are you guys diving in?
Yeah, unfortunately. So when the in-laws came a couple weeks ago for the Iowa-Wisconsin game, it was November, right? And I woke up that Saturday before we headed down to Iowa City, and they were already watching Christmas movies on my TV. And I was like, no. And I got sucked into it. It was a great movie. It's about a prince in the town called Dovia. It's a made-up country or something like that. Okay. Marries a reporter who comes in and is kind of reporting on a family. Then they end up falling in love, whatnot. She's from New York City. Great Christmas movie. Terrible acting, but I'm sucked in now. Now I'm old.
Does it have Lindsay Lohan in it?
I don't think so. Is that
okay?
Maybe no, I don't think so. It's a 3-part series. So the first one is where they come and they get married. Second one is they have a baby. And then the third one is something crazy. I can't remember. Anyways, great movie. Anyways, it got me sucked into it.
No, that's fine. I don't ever blame anybody. I know a lot of people have already started decorating. And honestly, if you want to like ride the spirit, if you just like the decor, it makes you feel good, I'm all for it. What's funny is I ask you about I'm like, oh, that sounds like a movie I've seen. And that's maybe my favorite thing. And the funniest thing is every movie is basically the same, especially you get into that Hallmark genre. They're all the fucking same setup. You got that hometown little rough guy, usually a lumberjack type, little girl in the city that's got some cool corporate job, and she's just like, I could never date or fall in love with this guy, and they always do.
Big city girl, small town guy. Oh no, the sad thing is the pumpkin patch is going to close this year if we don't keep up sales. Well, I'm from big city. I can run marketing for you, and then
I'll save the day.
Classic Hallmark movies. I do like them. Terrible acting. The punchline's always kind of funny. Let's move into our Iowa fact of the day, Bryce. Kind of similar to last week here. I'm gonna put you through a little test. Not quite as dramatic as last week's.
That was rigorous.
But first off, how many towns do you think are in Iowa?
99 counties. Let's go 35 to 50 towns per. I'm going to go with 4,200.
940 towns are in Iowa.
Why? My math is either so bad or I'm just so. My brain is not in the right spot for these.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So there must be a population cutoff on some of these, but when I looked it up, so like I don't even know if that includes like small like little neighborhood towns. Not exactly. So when I think of Kossuth County, they have, gosh, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 towns.
Oh, well.
And that's the biggest county, but I know when you get down towards the central part of Iowa, there's more towns per county. But I don't know. See, I don't know if I buy that either. But the reason I asked you this question, Bryce, is because I'm going to have you guess the top 5 most populated cities in Iowa. Start with number 1 and see if you can get yourself to number 5.
Okay. I'm going to throw Des Moines proper.
Des Moines, correct. 210,000 people.
I'm going to throw in Ankeny.
Ankeny does not make the list. They were number 6.
Okay. Dubuque.
Dubuque.
Well, first of all, we got to go with Cedar Rapids.
Cedar Rapids is correct at number 2 for 135,000.
Probably a quad city. Can we go Davenport?
Davenport, number 3. Bryce, you're starting to catch a little fire here. You need 4 and 5.
I think Sioux City might be 4 or 5.
No, Sioux City, number 4, 85,000. Bryce, can you hit the big trifecta here with number 5?
Is it Iowa City?
Iowa City at 76,000 people. Hell of a job.
Dude, I had to screw my freaking brain on. I was way off on towns and counties. I had to freaking dial it in there.
I think the top 3 are pretty given. The fumbling part is maybe you forget about Sioux City. It's just kind of chilling up there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then Iowa City, and then I know Ankeny's number 6, and it's like 1,000 difference, but the way it looks like is Ankeny's going to be a top 5 here in the next year or two, probably.
That's what my brain was so, especially being here, it's so Des Moines focused. And I just keep hearing about how fast Ankeny and Waukee are growing, but you got to think about those old industrial towns. They still got it.
Yeah. So the only good thing that happened in the state of Iowa that wasn't, outside of sports, is that there's actually some fun news going on this week, Bryce. An Iowa man visits all 224 pizza ranches in the state of Iowa, and he did this over a 10-year span.
Yes.
What do you know about this?
I know that he's a living legend, and last year we had the Poncheros guy who was able to complete a run of every Iowa Poncheros in less than a week. And this guy shows an insane amount of dedication, and I kind of worry about his health a little bit, but I'm just wildly impressed with what he was able to accomplish, and I want to give him all the props in the world.
Was he getting into the fried chicken at the buffets?
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like at what point do you just kind of throw in the towel and just pay for the meal and get, your meat and potatoes? I would guess he's probably not going all in on the 3-plate buffet.
I'm sure in the first half year he might have felt that way. I'm going to give it my all at every single pizza ranch. No way. There's no way you feel good after a year or two doing this. That's when I did the Tenderloin tour. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I remember God after maybe 15 of them, you just started feeling it inside of you. You're starting to feel like a Tenderloin. That's the last feeling you want. So Pizza Ranch times 10 over Tenderloin, I feel like.
Yeah, it 100%. And I feel like we saw so many food reviewers come out as soon as Portnoy started doing the pizza reviews and getting a lot of popularity there. And it just makes you realize how quickly food just gets redundant. And so many of them are the same. Hey, we hit some pretty good Tenderloins in the state of Iowa during that run. Yeah,
we did. Everyone proclaimed that they had the number 1 Tenderloin in the state. We'd have to I'd like to come back that someday again. See what's potentially out there. I had to take a couple years off from Tenderloin eating after that, and which was very much needed.
Yeah, they still hit. It's so, those things are so usually enormous and pretty greasy. Like you have to have some time in between, but man, you freaking powered through that one in the background there. That Newton's Cafe in Waterloo is one of the most egregious looking sandwiches I've ever seen.
What a fun day. What a fun video. The night before was a little too fun for that day of eating the Tenderloin. It still has some grease stains on that. Yeah, I think I got about half of that down. And I went and had to go throw up some of it in the bathroom. And Lurch had that awesome edit of GTA when you die.
Wasted.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so impressive. That's a lot of fucking pizza ranches. It's like, I did it. It took. You said it took him 10 years.
10 years. 224 pizza ranches. I didn't know there's 224 pizza ranches in Iowa. You think there's 940 towns. You're looking at a quarter of that being pizza ranches.
Yeah, we were talking as part of the content team was discussing like what could that next challenge be. I don't know what other Iowa food chain could it be.
Here's the thing: the Poncheros one made sense to me. I think it's a little bit more unique. Why the hell would you want to go to every single pizza ranch? Where does that come out of?
I don't know because they're pretty dialed in. Almost every ranch I've been to is the same.
I know some got the games and everything like that.
Yeah, that's pretty new.
Lounge.
That arcade thing is popping off.
I don't know.
But yeah,
I don't know what drove them to go to all the pizza ranches, and what a commitment to stick with it for 10 years. Because how quickly did that guy do with the Poncheros one? Wasn't it like just a week?
Oh, so fast. Yeah. It was almost less than a week, I think.
So that tells you over 10 years he was hurting. There had been a couple of months I said, I just can't do this. I don't feel good. That is honestly a crazy commitment. I don't know what the next challenge would be. Yeah, how do you top the Pizza Ranch one?
Maybe Happy Joe's. I think that's a Iowa-founded company, but
there can't be too many of those, right? Though.
No, I don't think there's too many of them anymore.
Well,
that's the thing is like the ranch is one of the very few chains left.
Mm-hmm. Is Pizza Ranch based out of Iowa?
Yeah, I want to say it's the first one was Boyden Hole.
Oh,
it's up in that northwest Iowa corner. We actually would go to the original as a kid. That was such a hit back in the day when you were a picky little kid. I mean, the ranch has something for everybody.
Another number, Bryce, close to 224 is 250. Donald Trump, the newly elected president of the United States, says we're going to throw a year-long party celebrating America's 250th birthday party, and it's going to last a year. And the epicenter, he wants it to be right here in the state of Iowa at the Iowa State Fairgrounds on Memorial Day.
How cool would that be?
It sounds like it's going to happen.
Yeah. I know that Trump says a lot of stuff, and he's really good about saying something and then having other people get excited and complete the vision. So I do think that it's going to happen. I know that Kim Reynolds has already talked about doing it. My main question was like, can you do it at the fairgrounds? Like, I think at the peak, we have 128,000 people come for the Great American State Fair. Like, how many people would show up to that?
I don't know. I have no idea exactly how this is going to work. Are you actually really anticipating people from outside of Iowa to come to this?
Yeah, I don't know what the official stat is on people that come in for the Iowa State Fair alone. I think it's a decent amount of people that actually travel from out of state to come to the Iowa State Fair. I would think that neighboring states especially travel for it.
Yeah, so is it still going to be like a fair theme, or is it going to be just all American? I would assume it's going to be all American / a little fair theme here.
Yeah, I think there's got to be obviously food and there's going to be like sweet concerts, no doubt. I think you also have to do some of like the innovation stuff. Like I think you have to have an Elon Musk demo. I think you have to have some of that stuff. Otherwise, I'm like, what's the point of just doing another fair?
Yeah, so
you have to like show off how cool America is, and it's got to be like tech.
So like I said, it's going to be a year-long party throughout all 50 states, it sounds like. He gave Iowa Memorial Day, July 4th. Memorial Day to July 4th, the most American time. So I think this is going to be a pretty freaking big deal, especially with the date he gave us.
Yeah. No, I seriously think that.
Oh, wait. I lied. The America birthday party starts from Memorial Day 2025 and goes all the way to July 4th, 2026. So I'm not exactly sure when. Maybe it starts at the Iowa State Fair on Memorial Day, if I'm correct.
Yeah. The instructions unclear, no doubt. I think that's where I'm sitting right now. It's like I'm trying to picture how it works, and a lot of smart people are going to get together and figure out how it does. I can't quite picture it right now because to me, it already seems like a zoo when you go to the Iowa State Fair. There's so many people. And I figure something like this is going to draw a crowd.
Yeah. You know me, usually not a fan of the Iowa State Fair, but this would be something worth checking out.
You would go?
Once in every 250 years that we're doing this thing, sign me up. I'd go to it. So buckle up. Let's see what happens as that snowball continues to go. We're going to start getting to the sad part of our lives here. Mark Farley to retire at the end of the season. 24 seasons. I knew it was like
Yeah, he's
I
been
thought it was
here a
like-
long
I
time.
thought it was like 17 or 18 seasons. 24 seasons, 182 wins. Your typical Iowa coach.
Mm-hmm.
This is lasting way longer than they probably should. Wish this was happening in another program that we are so closely dear to. UNI is having a tough season. 8 straight losses.
Yeah.
I think they kind of shoved them into a corner and said, Mark, we love you.
I think
You either retire or you're getting the boot this year. That's 100%.
100%.
So,
And Nate, I have to ask: does this have anything to do with our last episode when we asked for a potential firing of Mark Farley? Is there blood on our hands here?
we might have the AD from UNI watching our show said, shit, the Chill podcast is on our ass. I got to make some decisions here. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my seat. So the AD just saved himself from the hot seat on the Iowa Chill podcast show and by getting rid of Mark Farley.
Yeah, and we said it last week. I think things are obviously not looking up. He's been here forever. The program's not going in the right direction. He's done a lot. Those early 2008 seasons were great, but it's not looking like it's going to go there anytime soon. And it's sad to see. I mean, I like a good legacy coach. You fall in love with the programs and what they're about, and you remember the good times, and after the season, you forget about the bad times. But I think everybody, not just you and I, is looking for a little shakeup.
Yeah, especially with football nowadays with the NIL program coming out, coaches leaving after 3 to 4 years, taking the next job, especially at the Division II program. What a terrible time. What a terrible place to be a fan of. You get one of the best athletes, boom, he's gone. And next year he's getting paid $1 million at a top 5 power school. Coach wins 2 or 3 successful seasons at James Madison. Now you're the head coach at Indiana, going 9-0.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, that's the kind of things that can happen. A lot of people worry. What's up?
Coach DeVries, Drake.
Yeah, exactly.
Virginia. Brings his all-star, one of the greatest players to ever play through the Missouri Valley Conference, takes his son, goes right to West Virginia with him. It's just
right. There are success stories. I think what people get scared of when you actually get rid of your coach, then you face the potential of being Nebraska and becoming completely irrelevant for, I don't know, what is it now, 30 plus years. That's the great scare. But I think that things are changing. The landscape of how you're able to bring in recruits. You saw Coach Prime go to Colorado and bring in a ton of his own guys, like you're saying with DeVries and West Virginia. Like, they're able to bring in their talent. And I think that the way that you're able to perpetuate your message these days, like, it's just not the same. But the possibility of becoming Nebraska is very real.
Yeah, totally. But like I said, we do love these long tenured coaches, and it is refreshing to see that they can get the boot when needed. Appreciate your career.
Iowa more than ever.
Iowa more than ever right now. We might as well just jump into that right now. But before we get into the sports, Bryce, we got a friend of ours.
We sure do. And do you mind if I run and grab a beverage quick?
Please grab a beverage for me while I drink it in the midtime.
Today I'm going with a strawberry banana from Body Armor. And our great friends at Atlantic Bottling would like to remind you that to level up your pod, your business, or even just your golf game, you need real hydration. And with potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, and no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes, nothing is more real than this beverage right here. Body Armor Sports Drink for the real go-getters. You can find it at any retailer. For me, it's Quickstar. And Quickstar has also been a great partner the last few years, and it's been the closest to me. They're going up like out of control. It's becoming like the number one gas station in the entire state. Drink some Body Armor. It's hydrating the pod. It's taking us to the next level. Cheers, my brother.
Cheers. Great choice, too, by the way. The only kind I ever get. What Body Armor reminds me, it was one of my favorite traditions in Des Moines when I'd come visit you guys out by your old place by Jordan Creek when you lived with the boys. Every Sunday or Saturday morning when I was leaving to make my trek back to Cedar Falls, I would stop at that gas station by the Culver's. Is it a Casey's or a Come and Go?
That one's a come and go.
All right, That's what I thought. I'd go in and grab this for the ride home every single time. Never miss an opportunity.
Yeah, and it brings you back. We used to go and do Des Moines right. We would hit the downtown scene, the West Des Moines scene, West Glen, and to bring yourself back, you needed something that had a little electrolytes in it, and this always did the trick.
Yes, for unannounced reasons, I was always leaving your place a little dehydrated. Had to step the game back up, get fully high trained. Shot the Peyton Manning, get a little body armor in me. Bryce, like we said, Iowa has us on a roller coaster, and we are passengers with no will and which direction this roller coaster goes. The only direction I want this roller coaster to end up is not at the finish line where they let you go and get up and get to the next round. I want this roller coaster to just go off a cliff and just end it. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it.
You don't want any more wins for the rest of the season?
Nope.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I just want this thing to end. Don't play any more games. I'm sick of this shit. You can't. How do they keep doing it? They keep going and looking really good, and then they shit the bed against these weird teams. It sucks because we called out. We said this is a weird trap game, and here it is. Mm-hmm. It is hoping they would prove you wrong. Iowa sucks it up against UCLA, 17-20. UCLA had 23 first downs compared to Iowa's 20.
Yeah, I mean they looked great. And what's scary is they looked like they could do whatever they wanted, and you could tell that they weren't that impressive of a program, but they were still able to do that.
415 yards to Iowa's 265. 73 plays to Iowa's 46. For one of the worst rushing programs in the country right now, ran the ball right down our throat. 211 yards rushing compared to Iowa's 80. What is going on with Phil Parker? You returned 17 starters, and this is the product you put out on the field? Getting bullied like this?
I know, and we've said it so many times. It's like the things that you thought you could count on with Iowa football is just not there. And I think one thing we're seeing with this conference realignment, and it's not just the Big Ten, but those typical fast schools. You think SEC wide receivers, you think Pac-10 and Pac-12 wide receivers and quarterbacks. You're starting to see some of these lower-end Big Ten teams getting exposed. And to me, that's like the story of the program. Like we consistently recruit in state. We don't bring in the big 5 stars from the greater region. And to me, it's a speed issue. We can talk schematics and all that, but it seems like inferior schemes are going to beat you in college because they have speed.
Yeah, we talked about in the last podcast with all this weird LA talent in the area. I mean, it's California. You know they have recruits beyond recruits compared to here in the Midwest that are going to be a lot faster, tougher. You know, our all week is about how fast our linebackers were, and it showed. Sullivan struggled. Sullivan made some good plays early on in the game. A deep 58-yard catch. Was that Jacob Gill? Jacob Gill looked good, and then made a few mistakes. Then we had to go down to our 5th-string quarterback, Stratton. And it's just tough to watch football right now. Iowa has no identity, which sucks because we're the most identified program, I feel like, in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. Not in a good way, but you knew what you were going to get.
Yeah, the things you could count on. And it's pretty sad. Like, we've gone through so many years of just poor quarterback play. And the fact that Stratton, who looked so scared, I've never seen terror in somebody's eyes when they're calling a play and then receiving the snap from the center. The kid was terrified, but still delivered maybe the best balls I've seen in 4 or 5 years. Like, he was, I mean, he's a sophomore, and he's skin and bones, and he was never going to lead us back to victory. Let's be clear here. But he threw a tight spiral a couple times, and I'm like, why is it going to take our 5th-string quarterback to throw the best spiral I've seen in years?
Yeah, you see that a lot of times for when these quarterbacks who come in mid-game, and, you know, because I feel like they don't have all week to be mentally psyched out about it. And like, oh, this is my first start. You kind of get thrown into the fire. You don't have time to think about it. So they come in. You kind of see some of the best versions of themselves. That's when we saw the best out of Deacon Hill. There was very little best out of him, but his best football is when he came in for that night game against Michigan State. When Cade went out. I still absolutely, Sullivan's got to be your guy. I think he had a concussion. Doesn't matter. Iowa have a bye week here. Thank the Lord. I don't have to watch football for another 2 weeks until they go to Maryland. Maryland's kind of a similar team to UCLA, but we do have a good tradition against beating Maryland. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get. I don't care right now. Iowa State gets ran out by Kansas 40. Our life sucks. Our life sucks. Iowa State gets ran out by Kansas 45. Iowa State scored 36 points. Rocco had 383 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they were never in this game.
No, it was a blowout from the start. And just before, I want to kind of, I think the theme last weekend, at least from my end, was that we didn't preview UCLA appropriately. I know that you spend a lot of time listening to podcasts and getting prepped for the game. following our release of the pod, and you heard about the speed of their linebackers, and you heard about their strength of schedule. UCLA losing to Oregon, LSU, Indiana, decently close
Penn
game with Penn
State.
State, beating Minnesota. Like, this was a team that we definitely overlooked, and I think that they're better than what their record shows. So, yes, that Iowa game sucked, but I did not expect Iowa State to get blown out in a similar fashion. Like, I think that this is the Kansas team that people were waiting for all year. And I talked to there was a Kansas fan at the Anytime Fitness over here in Joaquin. He's telling me, like, this is the speed and athleticism we were expecting from Kansas all year.
Yeah, I did some digging before this game too, looking at the Kansas schedule. They've lost every game by like 2 or 3 points.
Yeah,
so you
super
knew
close losses.
Super trap game for Iowa State too. You saw the athleticism. Daniels, their quarterback. My lord, dude looks like a running back.
Mm-hmm.
He could throw
Yeah.
spirals. All playmakers everywhere at Kansas. They're going to be all right here in the
100%.
future. Terrible season for them with having that much talent. That kind of sucks to be a Kansas fan.
Yeah,
My God.
yeah. I mean,
They're good.
if they're good, and I would, as much as anybody else in the state, would love to dog on Iowa State for getting blown out by a 2-6 team. But I think that truly, that my takeaway is that those teams that Iowa and Iowa State played were just really good 2-6 and 3-5 teams.
What sucks most about these two losses that both Iowa and Iowa State fans probably had 50-50, if not more fans at both of those games this week.
Definitely.
So
It's vacation for Iowa fans.
and especially if Iowa State being at Kansas or Kansas City, where they basically owned during March Madness or come the Big 12 tournament for basketball, and then you just see this performance. That sucks. Sucks for the fans that went and saw it. That's why some people ask me, "You going to the Rose Bowl this year?" Hell no, dude. I want that shit. And back in 2015, watched Christian McCaffrey absolutely torch us. No way, because you just don't know what the hell you're gonna get. Stay away from it. Iowa State's going to round up here with the night game. Another freaking night game. I'm getting sick of this bullshit. At Jack Trice versus Cincinnati this week. I think they should take care of them. I don't know much about Cincinnati team. I know they're not as athletic as this Kansas team. Like I said, Iowa State's offense looked great this weekend. So I would expect them to do the same thing against Cincinnati. Probably not to the exact level, but enough to take care of them. I think they're about 12-point favorites right now.
Yeah, and I don't know much about Cincinnati either, but one thing I've heard from folks is that the Big 12 is underrated in the fact that they have the talent across the board. It's not going to be elite like Oregon and OSU and the Big Ten. It's not going to be like Georgia and Alabama and LSU and Ole Miss in the SEC, but they have a lot of teams that can trip you up. So, like, I think 12 is probably a lot. I think what we've seen from Iowa State since the bye is really close games. We've seen a lot of like scrappy games where they've kind of gotten away with maybe some wins that they shouldn't have. So that 12 just feels like a lot, especially after a loss like that.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, here in the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden, the two most identified teams are looking so unidentified right now. I don't know what I'm not going to make a guess. I'm sick of making guesses because I'm so freaking wrong in everything. We got torture in the bets this last week. Georgia was my favorite team in the country, losing to a backup quarterback against Ole Miss. Ole Miss runs the goalpost out of the stadium. And not only did the fans take it to the downtown district, but the cops even helped them. They rub it in my face.
Oh, really?
The
I didn't
cops
see
even
that.
helped
So
run down the goalpost.
that's the ultimate defiler right there, is even when law enforcement's celebrating on your grave.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this week we get back on our lock bets of the week. Bryce, let's jump into it. Give me my first lock bet of the week. Pittsburgh Panthers to cover +10 at home versus Clemson. Pittsburgh coming off a 2-game losing streak. I was high on them 2 weeks ago against SMU. They shit the bed on that one. They're bouncing back. They've had enough of these 2-game losing streak, and they're gonna show up against Clemson.
Clemson's. I think everyone kind of wrote them off early in the season. Pittsburgh was really hot, like you said. I like it. I think it'll be really close. If anything, I like the spread cover. Let me pull up number one for me. I think I'm going with Tennessee on Georgia. After seeing Georgia kind of get manhandled, they got taken to the dog pound. I like Tennessee covering 8.5 on Georgia. They have the blemishes now to Alabama and Ole Miss. I think the SEC's got weaknesses that we haven't seen in years. What do you think about that first bet?
Tennessee.
Tennessee plus 8.5 on Georgia.
I want to say absolute love it. I just don't know what we're going to get from Georgia. Are they going to be super pissed off where they go back in the Georgia mode?
Yeah.
Like we've seen last year, they got called out of the playoffs and they took it to Florida State 50-some points to 0. So is that the Georgia we're going to get? I like Tennessee's quarterback, the $1 million quarterback. He's been balling out. I say screw it, man. Give me the Volunteers. It's a
I
year.
think so too. And if
We talked about a year of predictability where what we've been so used to in the recent years of predictability. This year is not that year.
no,
A common man would say,
college football's hard this year, dude.
So a common man would say, give me Georgia. I'm done. I'm going against the freaking shit. Screw whatever I've ever believed in here for the last decade. Give me Tennessee. Give me the weird dudes.
Okay, cool. And if you go quarterback by quarterback, Carson Beck does not look great. Do you want me to snake back with number 2, or did you want to go number 2?
Please do.
Okay, I'm staying in the SEC. I think LSU is trending up. I'm going to take them minus 4.5 against Florida, who can play you tough, but hasn't really won anything of major significance, if I'm not mistaken.
Tigers going to the swamp. The swamp puppies have not looked good at all this year. So I like that bet. Give me the Tigers too on that. Bryce, my number 2. I'm sick. Get me the hell away from football. I'm going to jump into the basketball here. Give me the Iowa State Cyclones that cover 28 versus Kansas City tonight. I don't know who this Kansas City team is. I just know 28's way too low. Give me the Cyclones to cover 30 at least.
November basketball is funny because you see these Division I programs face off against teams like Kansas City with lines that are close to 25, 30 points. That's a lot of points to cover.
Their first game was 48-point favorites versus Mississippi Valley State. And Mississippi Valley State did cover by like 4 points or something like that.
Okay. I like it. Not surprisingly, I know nothing about Kansas City, but Iowa State is off to a pretty good start. I'm going to stay in football for now. Once we get to maybe post-Thanksgiving and some of those like Maui tournaments and Vegas tournaments, I'll get some basketball bets in here. But I'm going to go with Utah plus 10 versus Colorado. Colorado is kind of starting to be the program everyone thought, but Utah is losing games, but very close, and I like 10 points. I think that's a generous 10 points.
Utah was just currently on the wrong side of another Mormon miracle.
Yep.
The Mormon miracle
BYU
strikes again.
If you look at the top of the Big 12, it's like I don't know what to predict here. I think everyone thought it was going to be Utah and maybe BYU like 2 or 3, but right now it looks like BYU is going to maybe get unscathed in the regular season. And yeah, I mean,
Did you see
Utah's not great, but I do like the 10.
You see all the drama from the Utah game?
I didn't see the end of it. I saw the coach's press conference saying that it was pretty much BS.
Yeah, the Utah's athletic director too is asking to talk to the commission, all sorts of things. But more drama I saw from it this morning was when a BYU's the cheerleading coach got knocked out from a fan throwing a water bottle out of the stands. Knocked her out.
Really?
Yeah. So they're trying to find that person.
Damn, they're not playing nice over in Mormon land. That's I didn't see much of that game at all, but I just saw how angry they were, and I figured something was controversial.
It came down to a big defensive holding that allowed BYU to extend the possession, which ultimately led to the Mormon miracle field goal kick to get the Cougars to have them remain as an undefeated here in the season. Bryce, my number 3, Yale basketball. They cover 14.5 against the Purdue Boilermakers at Mackey Arena tonight, and I've learned a few things betting in my life. 1 is never bet against Patrick Mahomes. 2 is never bet against Purdue at Mackey Arena. But the reason I'm finally betting against Purdue here is Zach Edey's no longer there. They did have a 7'4" dude come in as a replacement this year, out for the season. Purdue didn't look so hot the first game. Yale's usually pretty traditional, nice program. I think they can make a little noise here in Mackey. Then I think they cover. I think the game's gonna be around a 10-point towards the end.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, you lose a guy like Edey, and your team's not gonna be the same. You lose your other 7'4" guy, and you change your whole scheme. So I love that. And yeah, those Ivy League schools are tough. Cool. I love that. Nate, I don't know what you have planned for the rest of the episode, but we are closing in on college football playoff 12 team for the first time ever. I don't know if you want to do it this episode or next episode. I think it'd be kind of fun to do a highlight of the teams that are projected to be in that playoff.
So when's the final projection come out here? Oh, I guess
I would
towards the end
think,
of the season, duh, obviously. But
yeah, I
did they
think they'll have to
release?
do the announcement probably first weekend of December.
So you want to do a projection, or do you want to do a recap of the teams that make the tournament or make the playoff?
They just did their first college football playoff ranking last week, and I wouldn't mind going through and just kind of looking over who they have in that 12-team playoff. Obviously, it would have been a lot more fun if Iowa and Iowa State were included, but completely up to you. I mean, if you want to look at it, if you don't, cool.
Yeah, Iowa State just got moved out of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They controlled their destiny last week or before this Kansas game. If they win out, they're going to make it to the Big 12. Now, all of a sudden, I don't. Who's favored else to be in? Is it Colorado and BYU probably?
I think those are the only teams that have one loss, yeah, or 0 losses, yeah.
Okay, because then you got Army out there, so these weird teams. They need to move it to 16 teams, and we're going to step in the right direction here.
Yeah.
Expand to 12 for sure, but I'd like to see a 16-team playoff, and all the way up into the championship game, I want to see home field advantage.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I think you should be rewarded for winning your conference. I think they're doing a good job of that so far. I think you should get home field advantage. Like, the neutral site's fun, but I think you should be rewarded for, once again, winning games in the regular season. Yeah, anything to get us closer to what NCAA March Madness is like, we got to do it. But hey, I mean, I think we don't have it baked in here. I think it's kind of fun to look ahead to who they project to be in that playoff, because I think it's going to be the best college football playoff we've had.
Well, who you got?
I haven't even looked at it. Here's the thing. I think Oregon's legit. I think they're overhyped. I think Ohio State ends up winning because teams like Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia have experience in those big games.
Is Big Ten going to get 3 teams in?
Yeah, this was my dark horse. Indiana is a top 3 team in college football right now. They look so solid on offense and defense, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make it to a semifinal.
Right, they had the loss of the quarterback a couple of weeks ago, and that didn't stop them one bit.
No, their defense is it's rock solid, and that's
they're projected. I think they're projected to finish second to last in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how far in the spectrum you can go from that to top 3 team. I mean, top 2 right now in the Big Ten, potentially top 3 in the country. I'm all in the Hoosiers, baby. Give me the Army Knights and give me the Hoosiers. My ride or dies.
So is it the Army Knights that got put in on that 12th seed?
To be honest, I don't know a damn thing about the freaking playoffs.
Okay.
Projections.
Okay. Yeah, let's dive in with a little bit more research next week. I think they announce these on Sundays, if I'm not mistaken, if not Monday at noon. But we can always go off the last week. I think it's going to get really interesting because I know that last 12 seed is going to be like a Boise State Army type team. The rest of them are going to be Power 5 schools, and like the winner of each Power 5 conference gets 1 through 4.
In a world where Army is traveling to an opposing school for a college football playoff at a night game is the best thing that can happen to our lives at this very given moment. I'm all about that.
I agree. I think it's going to be so much fun, and it's totally up to you. I know that this is the Iowa Chill Show. We do a lot of Iowa and Iowa State sports talk, but hey, I think it's interesting for the entire country. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, especially with the first year coming in. Yeah, we'll have to definitely do a little bit more research and jump into that. Bryce, let's round up this podcast with our segment this week. And our segment, we are going to be ranking our top 5 favorite lakes in the state of Iowa.
Let's do it. I wonder how many crossovers we're going to have.
I would assume probably 60% minimum.
Okay.
Number 5, give me Lake Panorama. Never been there.
Love it.
I just love the name. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I heard they have a great golf course there, right? They host state golf. Have you been there?
No, it was on the list of places to go this year. We did a lot of Boss Landon, and I think it's on the list to make sure we get to next year.
So shout out to Lake Panorama. I'm not sure if it's a private lake or if it's a open public lake or whatever. I just like your name, and I like that you guys have a cool golf course next to it. Lake golf courses there should be more of them.
Elite. Yeah, I love it too. I don't think I've spent too much time there either. It's fairly close to Pella, but yeah, I didn't spend too much time there. One that I did spend a lot of time at because we lived very close was Lake Red Rock, just outside of Pella, in between Pella and Knoxville, and the largest man-made lake in the state. until recently, it was all DNR owned land. You couldn't have a house there, and it, I think, kind of hurts the popularity of the lake. The nice thing is you have a lot of open waters and you can boat freely, which is cool. You'll have busy weekends like 4th of July, Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day, but for the most part, it's open waters.
Yeah, what's the DNR holding that to themselves? The biggest lake in the
I
state,
don't know.
and they're holding that to themselves. That's a little selfish. Open up that bad boy. We don't got much here in Iowa. You're gonna hold back the
Yeah.
biggest lake from us? Get out of here.
Yeah, there's very,
Open that
very,
shit.
very few places where you can actually even buy property there. The upside to that is like you get a lot of like nature, which is cool. So and that's why it made the list. It's like you get a lot of trees and cool cliff features.
Follow us back for number 4.
Clear Lake, and this one I've been to once and I had a great time. It would be higher, but it gets so freaking busy. It's tough, but it's a beautiful part of Iowa.
My number 4 is Spirit Lake, kind of the forgotten lake, the
Mhm.
Okoboji of the Great Lakes. Solely for its fishing. The world's largest muskie. I'm not the world's largest muskie, but the largest muskie in the state of Iowa came out of the lake. I'm a huge fishing guy. I have fished there a couple of times. Haven't had a lot of success, but I'm all about it. Go Spirit Lake. I ain't forgot you.
You interested in going muskie fishing next spawning season? Maybe like a May or April?
Yeah, you doing some fishing?
I don't know. I have not done a lot of fishing in Iowa. We go up to Wisconsin for 1 week of the year, and I fish every single day there, and then I kind of hang up the cleats for the year. So
I bought my fishing license this year, and I haven't cast one single pole into the water this year, which I'm really upset
that's how it goes, and it's really retribution for all the times that you took illegal fish.
Number 3, Bryce, I'm going to follow. Number 3, one time, I got to tell you, I got a funny story. Back in the day, I used to have my brother's ID for, I was underage, right? I need my bro's ID to get into the bars. And I went to go get my fishing license back at Kmart in Algona. And I didn't notice by accident handing them Colby's ID. And I was too late. I was freaking out. I was like, oh, shit. So Colby got a fishing license that day. It went through smooth. I had to come in the next day and get my own fishing license for myself. So
that's amazing. Yeah, you play with fire every time you do the fake ID thing.
Number 3, Lost Island, and that is not your Lost Island outside of Waterloo. Lost Island, you ever heard of it?
Okay. Haven't heard of it. Where's it at?
Lake right just near Spencer, northeast side of Spencer.
Okay.
You could probably get from Lost Island to Okoboji in about 25 minutes, half hour.
Okay.
Kind of a backbone lake. It's a perfect circle. A lot of people on that lake. It's great. I love it. Lord Klein, Dirty Dave, had a cabin up there. So I grew up on Lost Island. Some of my funniest memories of my life took place at that lake. And I came out alive. We did a lot of stupid shit on that lake, but some great memories. And that's where kind of, if I ever had an outdoor experience growing up, it was definitely at Lost Island.
Yeah, love that. And I haven't been there, but it sounds great. And any body of water where you have some of those like core, like 8-year-old to like 18-year-old memories, it deserves to be on this list. That is not the case for this next lake for me. Saylorville Lake. It's a newer discovery by me. I grew up in Pella by Lake Red Rock, and I've always heard from people that grew up in Des Moines about Saylorville. Saylorville's growing on me. This is a lot of fun. Couple lake bars, the Marina Bar.
There's lake bars.
Very
in that lake, huh?
fun. There's a couple, and it's on my list of 4th of July places to hang out because that place gets buzzing and it just looks like a lot of fun.
Never been to Saylorville Lake on the water, at least, anyways. This is a dammed up lake, right? They got a bunch of boat houses on it too. I think I see when I drive over the dam sometimes. Didn't know they had any bars there, so that adds a lot of popularity in my opinion.
Whole different ball game. Yeah, that's actually the most I've spent on Saylorville was at the Marina Bar, and it's great. And we tried to rent a pontoon last year for 4th of July. Turns out you got to do that in like May because it's super popular. So
I believe it. Was that your number 3?
it was
Hit me back for 2.
Lake Delhi, a hidden gem in northeast Iowa. This is a awesome lake. First time I went there, did some cliff jumping.
Is that near Decorah?
Yeah, it's like it's more so off of like Highway 20, so kind of like in between Dubuque and Cedar Falls.
Okay.
Great time. Also another man-made lake, but super cool. My aunt and uncle just got a place up there. Cool lake. If you haven't been, they have a ton of public access drop-in points. We could rent a boat for the day there too. I'm pretty sure that's a worthwhile time. Had a great time there.
My number 2, Bryce, is a lake I used to hate. If we were to rank our top 5 worst lakes in the state of Iowa, this would have been number 1, maybe about 5 years ago. It is now called all the way up to my second favorite lake in the state of Iowa, Clear Lake. Just because of the I would never get in the water. I did get in the water 3 years ago, and I felt terrible about it. We went there during the 4th of July. Madison's friend Natalie's dad had a huge mansion on the lake, and I was there with 40 sorority girls from the University of Kansas, and I was just chilling. It was a good time. And
yeah, I mean that's dream scenario.
Yeah, we all went to the bar at a festival downtown. It was cool. Yeah, like you said, super busy, but yeah, I went there for the atmosphere. So not the lake itself, but what was going on right next to the lake, and I appreciate it. I had a really good time. A lot of bars, saw a lot of common faces I knew there. One of my favorite 4th of Julys I've ever had in my life was at that lake, and that's the sole reason it climbed all the way to number 2.
What a freaking comeback by Clear Lake! And if I'm not mistaken, you had a coworker go there and was worried about not E. coli. What was it? Some sort of bacteria.
It isn't E. coli, right? I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I warned him too. And then he comes back that week, and then all throughout news in the state of Iowa talk about how like 15, 20 some people were getting E. coli from the lake.
So
yeah, don't get in Clear Lake, but go to Clear Lake.
Yeah,
just don't get in it.
Before we get to number 1s, have you heard of that flesh or that brain eating amoeba that goes through your nose? So there was this warning many years ago in Pella that there were cases of this amoeba. When you get water up your nose, it would actually crawl up and infect your brain. And like people would end up dying, hospitalized, and then pass away. This was all over Iowa, but there was reported cases of people in Lake Red Rock.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I forget why that even starts. I want to say it's like some sort of like overgrowth, and I feel like it's chemical based. Like the spread and the way that they're able to stay alive is because of like the chemicals in the lake, but I forget now. I just remember being terrified as a kid.
That was a first half thing. They're not coming back for the second half, or they still sticking around that you know of.
It's hard to know. I will send you some info on this because it was the most terrifying thing as a kid. I'm like, do I even want to jump in and go head first and risk the idea of getting water up my nose?
Hopefully it's kind of like the giant hornets, remember them?
Yeah.
And they had us in the first
half. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, Iowa gets scared with this invasive species or bacteria that's just going to end all population, and then it just kind of goes away.
I think we're going to round out here, and I can almost 100% guarantee that we will have the same number 1 here. Give me West Okoboji.
Yep, Westo. Yeah, and I threw Okoboji as a whole on there because there's no part of Boji that I wouldn't go to.
East Boji has the bars. It's got Barefoot, the Garden. West Okoboji has more of the recreational water activities, the jet skiing, the tubing. Just a great time. One of the best lakes in the Midwest right here in Iowa.
Truly. Yep. And yeah, we have some intimate experiences there with some of the locals, and that like adds to the experience, and just having just like a very like unique Iowa feel right around the lake, and then you could just get to like the coolest part of Iowa. Like I like that you have cornfields and then also just like the coolest lake in the whole state.
Yeah, we could definitely do a whole episode on some of our Okoboji experiences. We'll have to get back up there here soon.
Let's do it.
We go to about
let's put that on the calendar.
We go to about every other year, which is probably good for us.
Yeah, 100%. Yep, me and Scott made some new friends up there for the OEI conference in August, and hopefully even a guy that can help us with some tailgating next year. This guy, Zach Muggenberg, is a local kind of do it all type guy. He can be pest control. He can be your fix-it guy. But one of his secret talents is throwing I don't even know if I can say it. He throws a very fun party. And hopefully we can get him involved in the tailgating experience next year.
He's my type of guy already.
Yeah, dude. Let's make that a thing for next year. Boji's awesome.
Sign me up. All right, everyone. Thanks for mourning with us on this very sad Iowa Chill show. We're going to get through it. Remember, there is life outside of sports, and I'm starting to realize that, and my wife has never been happier.
Yeah, that might be good for Madison, just to have, your focus be on more of the things that you can control and less about Iowa football. But that being said, maybe it's time to talk basketball season. I don't know. I think we're getting
Yeah,
close to
I
being
just
sick of
watched
this
the
football season.
Iowa woman last night play against Virginia Tech. Lucy Olson is the real deal. Fun.
Okay.
Iowa's gonna have a fun basketball team this year. Obviously, we've got to keep our eyes on Iowa State women as the number 8 team in the country. Iowa women deserve to be ranked. That's a bunch of bullshit. So watch out for them. Quite the underdogs with a lot of talent. It's gonna be a fun year.
Hey, with all the sadness, I think we pulled together a decent show.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And again, we do want to shout out our friends of the podcast here, our Atlantic Bottle Company. I can't wait to finish the rest of this body armor, some tacos. I'm about to go pick up here in Hudson. Tune in for next week. I think next week we're going to be ranking the top 5 favorite gas stations, Bryce.
Okay, sounds good. I will be in Nashville until Monday night late, so we'll have to figure out a creative way to get the show out. I think we'll figure it out, but pumped for it.
Everyone, have a great week.